going to start the stream here, guys.
Yeah.
All right. Hello, everybody. Pop culture curator here. I think I have an echo.
That's me.
Well, it happens to the best of us, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I'm so excited. I know last week was a busy week for everybody, so I apologize if we weren't able to have our stream, but I'm hoping to make it up for you with tonight's episode, The Time Trap. And I have, as usual, I have an excellent panel. Scotty R37 is unable to make it with us this week. He tweeted me just a little while ago. I believe hopefully he can make it next week. I told him I would see him tomorrow on Antiderivative Jill stream. So we have Captain Infinity. How are you doing there, sir?
I am operating within established parameters. Thank you.
That's absolutely perfect. I know this episode is called The Time Trap. I'm not really sure if there's a lot of time travel involved.
Let's find out.
It's not time travel. I can explain that here once we get started.
It's more of
Okay.
a time pause or stasis or slowdown. More of a slowdown of time than travel.
Right, which actually raises a few questions.
Phew!
Jill, how are you doing tonight?
Doing wonderful. Excited to be here to talk about this wonderful episode.
Oh, same here. I don't know. In my opinion, like I said, I'm biased, but I don't think we've really had a bad episode yet. And I think hopefully it'll keep on that winning streak. And Gorilla, tell us how are you doing tonight, sir?
Oh, I guess I'm doing all right. I just remembered I do got 2 token Fs for this episode. One is not directly this episode's fault.
Oh, really?
But the first one is, I've noticed this even from the other Klingon episodes, they use the exact same template for every single Klingon. They all look exactly alike, except for maybe a wrinkle or two, or a line or two added that show a little bit of a difference. Exact same. It's exact. They all look exactly the same.
They all look
That's a
like
fair
Commander
point.
Core.
Yeah. And the other one is, this is a recycled plot, but it's not entirely this episode's fault because it came first, even though they did have a couple maybe in the original series, like when the Trepid was lost, that went to a void in space, and then you had the Defiant episode that phased into an alternate universe like this episode was. They had Chaotic Space in Voyager. They had the entire void in Voyager.
Oh, that's true. The void, but that of course, like you said, comes afterwards.
Yeah, I heard that there were some similarities between this and future episodes.
Or you had Nagilium in TNG. I can't remember if there's one in DS9 or not, but there's like 6 episodes right there. It's all very similar plots.
But it is structured in a slightly different frame.
But still the same plot.
So would you say you think that they saw this and kind of borrowed from it, or it's just a coincidence?
Well, they could have borrowed from the 2 TOS episodes I mentioned there, but the other ones you could say that those episodes are inspired by it by writers who couldn't think of anything to write about.
So that's very likely, I guess.
I have to be back in a little bit, but I do want to say hi to Euler Greg, and I will be right back.
Hey there, Euler.
Good luck, Jill. And Euler Greg, hello. I wanted to say hello to everybody in the chat. Thank you for being here tonight. Bird of Prey, Kapla, thank you for stopping by, Bird of Prey. I hope you enjoy yourself tonight. I hope you're feeling well. And I see Gorillas here. Kapla, absolutely. And Skogli, I hope I pronounce this right. Skogli Jotun, I believe that. Yeah, hopefully that's right. I hope I didn't mangle your name.
Skogli Jotun.
Jotun. Okay. I will practice, and I promise I'll get better at that. And Euler Greg is part of the reason why I'm here tonight is I was kind of in the dumps last week, I think it was. And Euler Greg told me to keep my chin up and keep doing it. And just, and that he was enjoying the show. So that helped me decide. So, yes, thank you, Euler Greg. Here I am because of you. You're my inspiration. I really appreciate it, sir, for the pep talk. Yes.
Oh, I didn't realize that was a danger. I'm glad you're still here too.
Oh, well, so am I. Yeah. And I want to, as usual, I'm going to try to catch up with the chats here. Don't want to get too far behind. Bird of Prey 5 says, Kapla, have a great time. Thank you, Bird of Prey. And Antiderivative Jill says, Kapla, thank you. And Antiderivative Jill says, sub to Bird of Prey 5 channel. Thank you for putting that link in there, Jill.
You're welcome.
And Gorilla's Random Thoughts says, hey, everyone. And Antiderivative Jill says, hello at Gorilla's Random Thoughts. And she also put in a link for Gorilla's channel. Gorilla says, hey, Jill. And here's me saying, hey, everybody. And Pop Culture Curator, that's me. Inviting, if there's anybody that's listening, I have the link to the panel in the chat. If you'd like to join us, you're welcome. And Skoogly, thank you for being here. And friends, yes, absolutely friends. I don't think I'd be anywhere without good old friends. And Antiderivative my tongue. And Antiderivative Jill says, hi, Skoogly. I know. I need to slow down. I'm not having to compete with anybody tonight. And Stream Elements, I don't know if you're my friend or not. I guess we'll find out tonight. And Antiderivative Jill puts a link to a good old Captain Infinity's channel. And Older Greg says, shields up, phasers fire.
Good old. Make you sound like a reliable shoe. Good old Captain Infinity.
No, I would say more
always make time for time travel.
I would say more like a very good friend, a very trustworthy friend and ally.
Oh, thank you, Pop Culture.
Right, and Antiderivative Jill says, hail at Euler Greg. Euler Greg says, Jill broke up Pop Culture with the card of the carbonate. Good luck, Jill. Good job,
It sounds
Jill.
more like Euler Greg did that.
I think it was a combination of both because, Jill, you're one of the driving forces, too, that always brings me here. I think without you, I probably wouldn't be doing this stream, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, well, I'm glad I can help.
Ola Greg says, thinks you are appreciated. Well, likewise. And Ola Greg, I want to shout out, has a really great channel. Guys, I need to add. In fact, Jill, thank you for posting that link to Ola Greg's channel. He has a great channel that he does some reviews of some older classics. I was just watching reviews of The Night Stalker, a fantastic old series that actually inspired the X-Files. So if you're into anthology horror, I recommend that. I couldn't recommend it highly enough, I suppose. You might get a little bit of background noise on my mic here. I think I got a couple of car alarms going off outside. And before we get started...
And the bombastic music, I'm feeling like Let's Title.
Hopefully it'll keep our heartbeats going there. Instead of having just dead sound in between each
whatever works.
And Captain, would you like to discuss your channel briefly before we get started?
Would I like to discuss my channel briefly or your channel briefly?
Your channel briefly. You have the spotlight, sir.
Very briefly. Okay, my channel, time travel, Blade Runner, science fiction, tropes, writing, discussing quite vigorously, healthy dose of sarcasm, sometimes some disagreements, and then afterwards some sunshine, lollipops, and rainbows. Science fiction tropes, maybe swords and sorcery, all wrapped up in a nice linguistic button. Thank you. Subscribe now as I push to the massive 420. 420 subs. Thanks very much. That's a lot of sandwiches. Okay, Pop Culture, back to you. Thanks.
Very nice. And I may also add a lot of laughter in your channel. Very, very funny person, everybody.
Agreed.
And Antiderivative Jill, yes.
My channel is Antiderivative Jill, and I talk about science fiction. And tomorrow we're going to review not next generation, the original series episode.
The good stuff, right?
Well,
have your cake and eat it too. It's where I look at TOS.
Right.
Mhm.
Right. And so that'll be fun at 11 a.m. Central Time. So be there for that. That's all.
Oh, all right, what a blast. Okay, Gorilla, it's your turn to shill your channel.
I got this week's live streams all posted except for my random Let's Die and Come Chat as I Die in Minecraft streams if I ever do one this week. But there's going to be a few changes next week, but this week we're switching Thursday and Wednesday around there to make it easier on me. But this Wednesday we're doing we're watching season 2, episodes 1 and 2 of Stranger Things. Live reacting to them, and then next week will be on Thursdays. But then on Thursday this week we'll be reviewing the first episode of The Waltings, The Founding. It's a really good episode.
Absolutely.
Then we're just starting season 3 of Babylon 5 on Saturday. Then on Sunday, you might like this one, Captain Affinity. We are watching H.G. Wells' The Time Machine.
The Time Machine. I understand that features a time machine.
Yeah, it's from the 1960 version. We're watching that on Sunday.
All right, starring Rob Taylor and Yvette Mimieux, if I pronounce that correctly. Mimieux.
Yeah, whatever it is, right?
Right, and Sebastian Cabot as well. And if anybody out there is a fan of Mr. Ed, the Talking Horse, it has a guy who played Wilbur also in it.
The famous Mr. Ed Wilbur.
That's right, except with red hair. And Euler Greg sounds like he's familiar with the Time Machine. He says, "We are Morlocks. We are Morlocks, yes, indeed."
I vaguely remember the book from high school. So
yes, the book is great.
The book is great, and in my opinion, the original movie, the 1960 version that you'll be covering, sticks fairly close to the book, except for one chapter where he goes so far ahead in the future, he arrives on a beach which is very dark and red, and it's already after all people are dead.
I thought they did do that in the book.
No, I'm saying it's in the book, but not in the movie.
Oh, okay.
Right, where he goes
going to the past and going to the future are two very different propositions. Oh, unless you're the Guardian of Forever, he can do what he likes.
Oh, well, that is true too. I also love that the character's name in the movie is H.G. Wells, so that's kind of cool. They carried that over.
Meta.
Herbert George Wells, yes. So today we are going to have a blast. We are going to cover episode 12 of Star Trek, the animated series, entitled The Time Trap. And word of note before we start, in the Star Trek timeline, this will be the last time that we see Klingons in this form, without all the bumps on their foreheads and spines and all that other good stuff.
Yeah, last smooth-headed Klingons.
Yes,
which I do prefer I like the DS9 TNG era look of the Klingons. I know it's not the same as...
Yeah, apparently they went through a few changes. I was reading they changed obviously for the motion picture when we saw Mark Leonard, and then I guess they changed again for Star Trek 3 to search for Spock.
That's the key thing though, because I'm obsessed with the old canonical verisimilitude. There is a canonical explanation for the changes of the physical appearance of the Klingons. Is that correct?
Yeah, they explained it in Enterprise.
Finally, huh? Close to the end, they finally explain it.
But also, we do see these Klingons one more time when we do Trials and Tribulations in Deep Space Nine, which is a
DS9 episode, right?
Yeah, it's a DS9 episode where they go back to the Tribbles timeline.
Yes.
Right, well, do they take Worf with them?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, how do they
And do
explain
they
that
consider
then?
the consequences of their time travel? No.
No.
No,
Why have they always been there?
I think it was an accident. The Defiant.
No, it wasn't an accident. They had to go back there because that one guy.
Oh,
guy-
that's right.
The one guy put a bomb in there to kill Kirk, and that, and
Mhm.
what they did to explain Worf is they wrapped a bandana on him, and they're going like, "Those are Klingons." He goes, "Yeah. Well, what happened? We don't talk about it.
We don't discuss it with
Right, that's called
outsiders.
lampshade.
We
Exactly.
don't
That is
discuss it with
literally that is the
outsiders."
very definition of lampshading. We don't have an explanation. It's a reference to the fact that we don't.
Yeah,
That
so
is
they don't,
lampshading, folks.
so they don't discuss it with outsiders.
Yeah.
But with
I thought
the
that was the
time travel
best
though,
line. I thought
whether
that was
the time travel is deliberate or otherwise, if I'm not mistaken, because I see to your Star Trek superiority, but I am the Pope of time travel. It's one of those episodes where even from the writer's perspective, they just simply didn't ask the question of consequences, right? They didn't say, is it going to be like Edith? We've created a new timeline. We might create a ripple in the timeline, or it's a closed loop. They just didn't ask the question, did they?
No, but I guess they put saving Kirk's life above any kind of consequences.
Yeah, no, I mean, if they think about the consequence, it's interesting. I've got to think if the show doesn't mention the consequences, then you got to think, but there would be consequences. Do you know what? You've triggered another episode, not in a good way.
Yeah, but I think it was just supposed to be a quick tribute to the original series for the.
Oh, of course it is, but at the same time, yeah. But when Clobby said asked about different ways of judging it, it's not for me to judge an episode. I'm not saying it's good or bad, but simply if it didn't ask, that's a new category for the book. Is basically they did go option 1, 2, or 0. They don't even know. We don't know. The characters don't know. The writers don't know. It's one of those stories. But basically, were those time travelers always there? If they were, it's a closed loop. Canonically, they're not, because they wouldn't have been in the 60s episode. Therefore, it must be, by a process of elimination, Jill, multiple timelines. Therefore, they created a new timeline, whether the writers knew it or not. Right, Jill?
Yes, that's right. But they were concerned about altering the timeline. They do make mention of that several times during, at least a few times during the episode. And it does happen that O'Brien ends up lying to Captain Kirk about the fight that had just occurred.
The first law of time travel is you cannot alter a timeline. There's no such thing in fiction as a malleable timeline. If the writers think there is, they've got it wrong. That's the whole basis of everything. And for Professor Briggs, I've got to make it apply to time travel. So quite frankly, I'm in heaven right now.
Well, I think they also even question whether or not they're in an alternate timeline. One time, I think. Because
it must be, I'm telling you, with all my authority, they must be in an alternate timeline. There's no change of the timeline. That's our starting point. You can't do it. There's no malleable timeline, Scotty. It can't be done. I've got several diagrams and a lot of crayons that I'm chewing on right now to explain how.
So I take it the crew of the Enterprise didn't recognize these visitors on the ship?
No.
Right.
No, they didn't. They didn't recognize them as being any different from any other crew. Just like, oh, here's a new crew rotation, and
no, but that's the thing, because they weren't always there. They did. You can't airbrush them back into the original episode. So that means that they just appeared like Marty McFly. Therefore, it is a new timeline. You see, it's perfect. Sorry, we've not even got onto the cartoon. Sorry, Star Trek and time travel. Oh dear.
Well, this episode doesn't get into any of that, fortunately.
No, that's what I mean. But that's my angle. You know, I'm going to get deeper into it than the writers, but it's there to be gotten into. That's what It's rich. There's no denying that the rich fodder. That's the beauty of Star Trek. There's stuff in there they might not have even thought about, but it's still there. That's the beautiful angle. Thank you, Star Trek. It's in there. It's in there.
I wanted to cover. Euler Greg says, Morlock Lives Matter. Also, great news, Captain. Watch out, Captain Finity. I subscribe, says Euler Greg.
Yay! Thank you.
There you go. You get there. Older Greg says the same Klingon agent from the original episode came back to finish Kirk off in the past.
I'm sorry to keep going on. Can I have the for you Trekkies? Can I have the name of that original Star Trek episode and then the TNG episode when they go back? Because I got more homework to
Yes.
do.
Yeah, it was trial and tribulation. No,
No, it was Trouble and Tribbles, right?
Yeah, then in DS9.
Oh yeah, the classic Trouble with Tribbles. Gotcha.
Then it's Trial and Tribulations in DS9.
It's DS9, and have they covered that one on the Clobby and Professor Briggs show yet?
Not yet. No.
Oh heaven! Oh, that we are in the good side. That's all I need to know.
Yeah, there you
Pop
go.
culture, guys, Jill, all of you. Hey, you've made my day. That's perfect news. All right, on with the show.
So glad to hear it.
Right.
I'm glad we inspired you. And Ola Greg says the same Klingon from the original episode came back to finish off Kirk to the past. That I did not know. So if that same Klingon lived that many years, 70-something years or whatever, I guess?
Well, Klingons live to be over 200 years old if they don't die in battle.
Okay, gotcha. Oh, okay. Ola Greg says it's a great episode. And Ola Greg also says, I will judge the episode. It's awesome. Yes, I do agree. And Ola Greg says,
I'm going to note that.
in the old uniforms.
Awesome.
Yeah, especially Jadzia Dax.
Olia Greg says awesome. Noted.
All right. So I believe we're ready to get started. Jill, what would you like to tell us about the time trap?
Okay. The Time Trap was written by Joyce Perry, and it first aired on November 24th, 1973. And so the very first thing that happens here is a captain's log that throws me off. It says Stardate 52.2, and I'm used to wacky star dates. But they didn't really start making them make any sense until later. But that seems silly to me, and the book actually answers my question on this. It turns out that William Shatner made this mistake. He left off the last two numbers. The star date should have been 5264.2.
Oh, shame.
Yep.
That's neat, though.
No, nobody noticed. I mean, DC Fontana, I guess, didn't notice.
Or maybe
Okay,
it was
there's
too late to
another
say.
enough. I'm
Yeah,
kidding.
maybe-
I'm kidding.
Maybe
I'm kidding.
right, maybe because these episodes were not only were they limited on budget, but they were also kind of rushed along. They may have noticed, but had no way of going back to correct the problem.
That's another good point. I didn't think about that.
Yeah,
She would
because it's
have to
already
be in the sound booth with them all the time to catch everything.
Yes, exactly. She probably didn't. If she noticed, it wouldn't be until it was already in production. And Scoglie says that was the same actor as well, I believe. Deep Space Nine back all the original actors. Whenever they included the character, it was awesome. It does sound awesome. And Ola Gray says, yes, each adjustment to the timeline creates another timeline, but Kirk would be dead in the new timeline, and that's disaster for someone. Ola Gray, yeah, Ola
Echoes
Gray,
of City on the Edge of Forever. Edith, right. Jim.
Right, Ola, you'll be right at home on Captain Infinity's channel. And Ola Gray says, yes, the same actor.
We're going to need more crayons, Jill.
Well, you got to watch Trials and Tribulations then.
I've still got. I'm right after this show. What I need to do is I can't predict the future. Maybe I'll get distracted. I've got to watch City. I've got to do it. City on the Edge of Forever. It's next on the list. Can't be avoided any longer. It's inevitable in the future.
There you go. Go watch that. That's a great episode.
And by the way, another note. Speaking of time, but actually watching episode. This pertains to your show tomorrow, Jill. I've noticed with the Miri, my Blu-ray set for Star Trek OST has the episodes in a different order. I understand the production order and the broadcast order are different. But if my Blu-ray disagrees with the Jill order, then therefore my Blu-ray is wrong.
Yeah, the streaming and your Blu-ray and everything are always going to be in broadcast order. But I'm watching them in production order to follow along with the real Star Trek story of how it was produced in a certain order so that the uniforms always match up and the props and everything.
Right, it's really fascinating.
Is that the connoisseur's choice? Sorry.
I know for me it worked because, we're watching the progression of the uniforms as they were changing and the props, the designs. So this made more sense because it was a little jarring and out of place when you watch it in broadcast order.
That's already a thing.
And so, yeah, that's basically the reason.
Yeah, because if you watch a
Interesting, very
broadcast or
logical, Jill. Thank you.
You're welcome.
because if you watch a broadcast order, there's like 3 different doctors in different orders.
Hmm.
Right, the Blu-ray gets it wrong.
Yeah.
Paramount, basically Paramount. Take a note from Jill. Sort your Blu-rays out.
Yes, sort your Blu-rays out. So there should be like a little tab. You could switch between broadcast and production. That would be cool.
Right.
Exactly.
And Captain, do you have the version that shows the old special effects as well?
You read my mind, Pop Culture, because take a note, George Lucas. You get the choice. So whether you like the new versions, which I actually do, even though I'd normally go for the hipster choice, the original. The point is you get the option, and there's 2 versions, not 17. Again, looking at you, George Lucas. 2 versions, not 17, and there's not a single one where Greedo shoots Kirk first. So think about it.
Okay. Yeah, I know I've said it before and I'll say it again, but I need to get my hands on that Blu-ray set while it's still available.
Yes, you do. Go grab it. So we're approaching in this episode. They're approaching the Delta Triangle, and actually, I'm not sure what these fireworks are about.
Those are from a previous episode.
Oh, they are.
Oh,
Okay.
yes. Gorilla's Random Thought's favorite episode with his Chinese chicken.
Okay, that makes sense. Okay.
Right, the psychedelic universe, right.
Yeah, which those they didn't make sense. If they're going into chaotic space, you shouldn't be able to see anything until you encounter it.
Oh, is that what it is? Okay, so the captain's log continues. Stardate 5264.2. We have just entered the Delta Triangle, a vast uninhabited sector of our galaxy, in which a high number of mysterious disappearances of starships have been recorded since ancient times. The Enterprise has been assigned the mission of surveying this area and, if possible, determining the cause of these disappearances.
So they're comparing this to the Bermuda Triangle.
Yes, that's a definite parallel to Earth.
I think that's the
Legend.
inspiration for the episode.
Yes, the Bermuda Triangle is, of course, off the coast of Florida and the North Atlantic Ocean, where many planes, ships, and people have mysteriously vanished. And so,
No, they vanished, or they just didn't bother looking too hard for them.
Oh no, they
Well-
did try looking, but there's a lot of magnetic anomaly and bad weather in that area. But yeah, a lot of them just disappeared, and it still has not been solved to this day.
and some didn't even have a chance to send out any distress signals before they were lost.
Yeah, the most famous one's the 5 P-52s, was it? Was that the planes that disappeared? Yeah, I think they were P-52s or something like that disappeared. They were doing a military exercise during World War II, and they disappeared off the coast of Florida.
Yeah, there's a lot of
And-
fascinating stories around it.
Definitely. Some imagine supernatural elements being the cause, while others say that that it comes from the agonic line, which made it so that their navigation was thrown off because in that area you don't have to compensate for the magnetic compass variation.
Hey, are you sure it just
But they
wasn't
did
aliens
anyway.
abducting them to look for new people to probe?
That's probably one of the supernatural elements that that just mentioned. But the National Oceanic Atmospheric Administration wants you to know that the claims the following: there is no evidence that mysterious disappearances occur with any greater frequency in the Bermuda Triangle than other large, well-traveled areas of the ocean. But anyway,
Interesting.
this is the legend that this episode is based on.
Yes.
And as just mentioned with the navigational errors that can occur in the Bermuda Triangle, Spock reports that the sensors in the Delta Triangle are unreliable.
The sensor. How do they know the sensors are unreliable? Do they have sensors to check the sensors?
Well, yeah, that's Spock. Sensor.
Maybe-
He knows the
maybe-
sensors are off because the
maybe-
So he's
readings will be
sensitive to the
strange.
sensors. He is
Maybe-
the sensor.
Or maybe
Okay.
maybe the readings. Maybe the readings are like kind of haywire, possibly.
Right, if they're giving unrealistic readings.
Yes. And Kirk asks for magnification 10, so Sulu sees the Klingons and calls for deflectors. Her tries to hail, but Klingons don't want to talk, so
Nope.
they they fire, and the deflector shields do their job. But the Klingon ship disappears when the Enterprise fires back.
Right. They used animation, unfortunately, from prior episodes. So when you watch this, it's kind of a little confusing. So it's a good thing they kind of explained how it just blinked out pretty much, but it did not cloak.
Kirk has Sulu do a 360-degree scan to see the Klingon ships that have them trapped. So instead, Kirk decides to go for the area where the Klingon ship disappears. And as they do, Kirk is about to speak with the other Klingons and asks her to send the communication, which will take 3 weeks.
Why back in that era did it take so much longer than in like TNG and DS9? Because like they can talk to Earth at DS9 in real time.
They could.
They had
Yeah.
4G. They paid their internet bill.
I didn't know that.
Is it 4G or
That's kind
5G?
that's kind of far fetched. I don't think that's possible.
Well, in Deep
Because-
Space Nine, they were working under the guise of war, so they were actually always pretty close to the station. Here, you have frontier exploration, so they're always going to areas of space that are kind of unexplored and further away, and they don't have as many stations set up as they do in later Trek installments.
Yeah, that makes sense. And hello, Lemon Pie. So good to see you all. Lemon Pie says hello, all. Hi, pop culture curator. Hello, Lemon Pie.
Oh,
Welcome
hi,
to-
Lemon.
Yeah, welcome to the stream. So good to see you, Lemon Pie.
Yeah, that's great. So this is Curry. He's voiced by George Takei. And
Hang on a minute. Where's Chekhov?
and Curry blames Kirk for the destruction of the Klingon ship Klothos, but Kirk denies it. So
If you look at every single Klingon there, they all look exactly the same except for like a line or two on them.
And now that's racist.
Yeah, I don't give a
Just kidding.
shit.
Klingonist.
Klingonist.
So Curry fires on the Enterprise again, and it's protected by the deflector shields. And so the Enterprise approaches the area where the Klothos disappeared, the Klingon ship. And so the sensor goes from not working to going haywire. And of course, Uhura can't communicate via subspace, and now the Enterprise disappears, or appears to disappear. From normal
Appears to
space.
disappear.
There it is.
That's note to self. That's good. It doesn't really disappear.
Right. It travels to another space in time, a pocket of time.
Right.
I
they explain a
thought
pocket.
I went to an alternate reality.
Well, they were
That's
asking if it was an
one-
alternate universe, but I think they said that it wasn't. They said no, it's not an alternate universe.
Are we
but then
using
they-
reality and universe synonymously?
They are.
Oh, really? That boom, done. Mic drop.
Skogly says pineapple and cake, and Lemon Pie says hello. Other panelists can't read name. That would be Captain Finity and Gorilla's Random Thoughts, along with Antiderivative Jill and myself on the panel. And Lemon Pie says, "Hey, Skogly."
So after their little trip, everyone's undergoing some kind of vertigo, and Sulu is so bad off that he ends up. Oh, okay, wait. There's also before we talk about Sulu, they realize they're in a ship graveyard here, where Kirk
And-
says it's like a vast Sargasso Sea, which is another Bermuda Triangle reference.
And some of these ships they see are unapproved from previous episodes that they had submitted for ideas, and they were not accepted. So this was a
Yes,
good chance
that's
to
right.
bring them back.
Yes, that's right. I'll read about that from the book. I
Well,
had a thing about that.
Oh,
oh,
okay,
oh,
great.
I got another gripe here. I can't remember the ship name they gave it on here, but they did not. But they said that it was the first warp ship. No, it was not. The first warp ship was the Phoenix.
Yeah, the Phoenix. That's exactly what I was about to say, Gorilla. You read
That's
my
what I was
mind.
thinking. Yeah, SS Bonaventura is what
Okay,
Scotty said.
before I get to the book though, like exactly what Gorilla said is what I was thinking. They say this is the old Bonaventure. Let me get to it. So like
Well, maybe what he said
right
was that right. But let me ask you this: in the ship you guys were talking about with Stephen Cochrane, that wasn't a Federation
Oh,
ship. It was a hand-built ship, pretty
yeah,
much. I think Scotty meant this is the first Federation ship with warp, but I
yeah.
could
is
be
that
wrong.
Then,
from Cochrane?
oh, okay, okay.
Stephen
So that might be a
Cochran.
difference. Yeah, it is Sephrin, not Stefan, but
I prefer the
but
actor in the original series. Thank you.
oh, well,
Metamorphosis.
no,
Yeah, I'll take
I was
that
going
one.
by the character's name.
Well, yeah, I
That's,
understand.
yeah, but did they say Federation ship or the first Earth ship?
Well, what they say is that this is the first ship to achieve warp. Wait a minute. No, that's not what they say. They say the old Bonaventure, which he says was the first ship to have warp drive installed. But of course, we find out later in First Contact that the first ship to achieve warp is the Phoenix. So I'm so
And would
glad you
the
mentioned that. I almost put a picture of the Phoenix in these slides, but I didn't.
yeah, and would the NX-01 be come before this one?
Maybe it didn't have warp, or is
It,
that
it,
still one?
it-
Is that Enterprise?
yeah, that's the Enterprise. It got up to warp five. They got it up to 5.2.
But
Well,
of
yeah, but
course,
go ahead.
oh no, you can go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say. Obviously, that was after they had
Right.
changed the timeline, right?
Yeah, right. They changed the can. They changed canon later, to.
Change canon.
Well,
I know.
That's
because
a
I mean,
retcon.
I guess it's a retcon. If you consider the animated series canon, then they
Well, I don't know
ignored
if I
this
do.
moment here.
Every time there's a
Well, if
prequel, they
they
mess
start.
up.
Well, it's not actually, Jim. It's in the balance. If they start doing retcons, then no, I'm afraid that might be the last straw. It's not canon if there's a retcon. Timeless child.
So I wanted to read this from the book, Saving on Production. It says, "There are ships I've only seen crude drawings of, pictures in museums," says Scotty, on viewing the derelicts of the Enterprise encounters in the pocket of time. When the Enterprise enters the ship graveyard at Elisa, it encounters a number of ships from different planets, including Federation vessels. Rather than have the filmation artist design new ships for the cemetery, storyboard artist Bob Klein's rejected designs from the premiere Beyond the Farthest Star were utilized. And he says, "I never thought those drawings would be used for anything," Klein recalled. "That's why the ships are all so intricately drawn and carefully worked out. They never would have been otherwise. It's because I had them all in a file, and all I had to do was Xerox them to do different sizes and paste them up along the pan. All of those ships were ones designed right at the head of the series for the derelict ship." Yeah, that was for that ship that was made for the insect aliens.
Yes, right where the
That looked
pods would
all
burst. Yes.
yeah, it looked all alien and cool.
And Oda Greg is right. Technically, this might be alternate dimension or reality. And Oda Greg says, Jill brings some good background information you won't find anywhere else. Absolutely true, everybody. That's what's the Star Trek stream out there. And I'm not kidding. Lemon Pie says, did I tell you guys I dated a Tholian? She caught me in her web. Ooh.
Although I will say that that the idea to read this particular book does come from a friend, R.M. Briggs, from the Clyburn Times channel. So that's where I get the idea from.
Male professor.
Yes. And Spock realizes that the descendants of all of these ships may be alive because he's picking up some life readings. And on the Klingon ship, Klothos, Kaz and Kor are voiced by James Doohan. And the book has something about this too. It's Welcome Back, Core. Another character makes the jump from the original series to the animated series as Klingon Commander Core returns.
Here's a perfect picture here of what I was talking about. They all
However,
perfect pitch, except to shave that one guy.
right. Well, the hair is slightly different.
But it's all the same template.
Okay, so however, unlike the actors who played Sarek, Mudd, and Cyrano Jones, John Colicos, who played Core on TOS, was not asked to return, just like William Campbell, who was Koloth in The Trouble with Tribbles.
Sadly, yes.
James Doohan was tapped to voice Core in the episode. The Time Trap also featured the third appearance of a female Klingon, the first since TOS's The Day of the Dove. The episode was also the last time the Klingons would appear, smooth-headed until DS9's Trials and Tribulations, which was mentioned at the top of the show. Once Star Trek made the transition to feature films, an increased budget and more production time allowed for the Klingons to appear more alien, a change that remained and evolved through the spin-offs, which was also mentioned at the top of the show, including the film. We don't have to worry about that.
Or the less said, the better.
So, Core learns from Kaz. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, Oda Gray says, sounds like a sticky situation. And then Pi says, not as sticky as making a joke that bombs, LOL. Well, that, and Oda Gray says, well, they didn't laugh, but I heard a grunt of pain. We enjoyed your joke. See, even got an LOL from Lemon Pie. And Scully says, I brought them all back. I brought them all back.
A sticky bomb, very good.
Super old and it fit. The only thing that, yeah, I looked. I don't know. I know I'm an old stickler, but I looked at pictures of what these Klingons looked like on with the makeup upgrade, and I just don't think it fits. You know, I understand why they have Klingon makeup like they did in the future movies and series, but when they show actual characters from the '60s series in DS9 and they have bumps and everything on their foreheads, it just I don't know. I'm not a fan of that, but I understand a lot of people are.
Well, it comes straight from the motion pictures when that starts happening.
Yeah.
So I think it's good stuff. But you know, that's the great part. We can have our opinions.
Absolutely.
That's something I can forgive because it made him look a little bit more alien there.
That's a good point. Core learns from Kaz that the Enterprise shields are out, so Core prepares to fire on the ship to take that opportunity. And at that moment, Sulu finds the ship, so the Enterprise also locks phasers. And Core gets the first chance to fire here, but the weapons don't work.
A plot from the Organian episode.
Yeah, true. Right. This is another way that where the weapons don't work, but I mean, for the Organians, they're like godlike creatures, so it kind of makes sense. But here, it's just stopped by telekinesis.
The Organians were a bunch of dicks because where were they during all the other wars, like the Cardassian border war, the Zenkethi border war, the Dominion war? Where the hell were they if they didn't?
Well, like, you know, they're godlike creatures, so they don't have time to be worried about mortals all the time.
Only when we come to their planet, huh?
Yeah, right. Only when we're bugging them. So then Kirk vanishes here, and
Spock overreacts with lifting an eyebrow.
He kind of overreacts a lot this episode.
It's not overreacting when he was an emotion, and he doesn't show his emotions.
No, right. That's what I was just kidding.
I was just making a point.
So we have another Captain's Log supplemental. First Officer Spock recording. We appear to be in an alternate universe. Position undetermined. Captain Kirk has been transported from the ship by an unknown power. His present location also is undetermined. And Core is prevented from using his weapon via the telekinesis. And this part is great because we get to see many different aliens together in a room. They're not just here to be here, but just because they've all learned to live together in this pocket of time, in peace. So from left to right, we have an Orion, Vulcan, another Klingon, which I think is kind of weird because they never have this Klingon interact with the other Klingons to help with, hey guys, quit being jerks. But no, he never tries to do that.
Right, take my word for it, guys. Right, it's not going to work.
Yeah, I already tried. And then some cute kitty cat alien. Seems a little different from the Cations.
Maybe it was an offshoot of a different cat race.
Trippy Garfield.
Who says there can only be one cat race?
I like it.
Maybe the progenitors made a bunch of cat-like races also.
Yeah, why not? Well, from this angle, it looks like a cat, but when you zoom out, it looks more like a teddy bear.
A teddy cat.
Yeah. Anyway, teddy cat. There we go. That's what they are. Then there's an Andorian.
Teddy cat. What are they feeding it? Sorry.
So some kind of insect species. Then we have the Volosians, which are the plant-like beings from the Infinite Vulcan episode. And then this girl, she looks human, but she has to wear a helmet to breathe, so we know she's something else. Another Vulcan, and this one is a Tellarite.
He's starting to look suspiciously like Zep Brannigan.
And then we have, of course, a Gorn. It's fun to see. And the book has... Oh, yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say, Skogly says, I don't think they should have explained, I think he means the makeup. In Enterprise, we were all cool with just accepting production values. Ola Greg says, true, Skogly. And Ola Greg says, a Kirk visit to your Paradise planet is going to cause a severe reaction.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I got a question here. We know that the Orion women produce a pheromones that make the men want to fight over them there. So how come all the men on the council are trying to fight over her? But yet the doctor and the Klingon are getting into a big old scuffle over her when she's around.
Well, they've been around so long. They've been around each other for so long. Maybe they've grown immune to it.
And not only that, they've also learned to be peaceful with each other. So probably she's not using that against them. She's not trying to defeat them or win them over.
Right. She's waiting for new men to come along to turn it on.
Yeah. So if she's trying to be peaceful, why is she trying to get the doctor and the Klingon to fight then if she's trying to be peaceful?
Oh, internal logic.
She doesn't want anybody to fight. Who is she wanting to fight?
Well, this guy said that she turns it off because he didn't want the councilmen to fight. But then...
yeah, she doesn't want anybody to fight. That's the whole story. Okay, explain.
Well, you were trying to say that well, there's trying to... Never mind.
Okay.
Never mind.
Okay.
Council withdraws the last statement.
I'm confusing myself here.
That's okay. So
talk long enough and you get confused.
I was willing to listen, but let's go to the canon alert in the book. Oh, did you have something, Pop Culture?
Well, I was gonna say I guess we have no moderators in the chat because they weren't able to attack the bot, and I apologize for that, everybody.
Oh, whoops! Was I supposed to moderate?
Well, no, you're on the panel.
Yeah, but I got pulled up on my phone right next to me. I wasn't even paying attention to the chat.
Yeah, Oila Gray says, we have no moderator. I recommend lemon pie. However, I do like a good time. And lemon pie says, Oila actually would get rid of the bot by instinct. Haha.
Jill's on top too.
Well, if it's okay with you guys, I will make you moderators right now.
Sure.
Go ahead, Jill. Continue.
Okay. So, in the book, under canon alert, it says Core would return to Star Trek 3 more times after his appearance in The Time Trap. It would be 21 years before the Klingon legend popped up on Deep Space Nine in his third appearance, once more unto the breach, he regaled Klingons with his adventures on Klothos. While
There we go.
Well, and so that's about core, but here's about that insect alien. Here, let me go back to the insect alien so you can see.
Didn't core appear twice in DS9, or was that there? Because there's the albino episode, then didn't he
Right.
appear in what was it that core that went to go find the
Was
Sword
it
of
Core?
Kalos?
Let's see.
Maybe I'm wrong. I could be wrong because there's Kang, Koloff, and Core that all appear in DS9, but I can't remember which one made the second appearance.
I don't think he's in the one with Jadzia Dax during the Blood Oath. I don't think he's there.
Yeah, that's Core, Koloff, and King all came together for that one. But then there was also that episode that is either that might have been Core that
you're right.
sacrificed himself against 10 Jemadar ships to buy them enough time to get away.
Oh, right. Was that the one where he was kind of going senile?
Yeah, was that Core?
I think so.
Okay, that's then. Which one was it that went after the Sword of Kalos in the Gamma Quadrant?
I don't remember.
Yeah,
I wouldn't know that.
Because him and Worf, because they were fighting over because they took Worf with, and Worf was fighting over the Sword of Kalos, who should bring it back to the Empire.
Yeah, I just remember. Yeah, the one where he was senile. I remember that. But if he did he do the Sword of Kalos too? Possibly.
Yeah, because they bring all three of them in there multiple times, or not, maybe not multiple times, but they.
Yeah, I think he was in that episode too. You're right. He does appear more than once in Deep Space Nine. So
yeah,
at least 3
twice
times.
for sure.
Mm-hmm.
That I remember.
Yeah, the Sword of Chaos was funny. They just left it in space.
And Lemon Pie says, but let's be open-minded. Maybe the bot has thoughts on the episode. That's fine if the bot has thoughts on the episode, as long as it doesn't have to do with Russian porn. And Oleg Greg says, bot lives matter. And Lemon Pie says, Oleg, I've seen you before. Maybe in here, or was it elsewhere? Ooh.
Yeah. Now notice you only specified
I haunt many chats.
Yeah. Now notice you only specified you don't want Russian porn. Didn't say anything about any others.
Well, I guess as long as I understand the language, right?
Yeah.
So about these, Indian insect rather. These insect aliens. While it's not confirmed, another canon connection to TAS occurred on Star Trek Enterprise, as one member of the Elysian Council closely resembled the Xindi insectoid species from its season 3 storyline. So that's just a guess. Let these have something to do with the Xindi.
I seen the plant. I seen the plant species in there too, but I thought they didn't leave their homeworld.
I guess this was a renegade, right?
A place, right. The flotations or whatever they're called.
Delusions.
And you're welcome, Lemon Pie, for the blue status. Oleg Greg says, sweet, thanks, Pop Culture. It is my pleasure. Thank you both for being here. Always nice to add new moderators. Oleg Greg says, LP with a wrench makes everyone safer. Absolutely.
Agreed. Thank you, Lemon Pie.
I take it Lemon Pie likes playing Whack-A-Bot.
Oh, it's one of my favorite games.
Oh, you and Cronus have to get into a competition there with Whack-A-Bot.
Oh, I can smash faster than Cronus.
Are you sure about that?
Yes. Mm-hmm. I'm absolutely sure.
Snap.
No, the person I can't beat is named Stellar Heather. She's a moderator also for Doomcock, and only when she's around she's the only one who can out smash me. Kronos is good though.
I wanted to add something here with the Orion slave girl. You think after all these years she would put something warmer on?
No, that's part of
Oh,
the
come
charm.
on. Hey, they say if you have it, you flaunt it if you have it.
Right, flaunt
What? Even if it's hundreds of years later.
Hey, who says the older ones can't be good?
Well, yeah, that's right. Well, she looks hot for her age, so I'll give her that.
It's true.
for her age.
Right?
Well,
She's
she's only a couple hundred years old.
Right.
Mhm.
Well, she looks better than Nancy Pelosi, and she's a couple hundred years old.
Well, that's good. Well, that's what alcohol does to you.
Right.
So her name is Devna, and she's voiced by Nichelle Nichols. And she's the interpreter of laws and is able to explain this better than I can, so I'll read this section of dialogue from her. She says, "Gentlemen, you now stand before the ruling council. Alesia is comprised of representatives of 123 races. Our existence dates back over 1,000 years. During this time, these diverse races, many of whom were enemies on the outside, have learned to live together because they must. As a result, any act of violence is strictly forbidden and will be dealt with swiftly and with utmost severity. Questions?" And so Kirk wants to know the nature of where they're trapped, asking if it's an alternate universe, but Devna says that it's a pocket in the garment of time.
What does that even mean?
That's
Right.
exactly what I put here. What the hell does that mean?
Well, you're the time
Well-
you told us, Captain.
But I like-
Mumbo jumbo alert. It's either a new timeline or it isn't. It's a binary situation. Spock
I
has
guess
spoken.
time is like a fabric, woven fabric, and this is a pocket within the woven fabric.
Yes.
of
That's
time.
like the whole partly malleable universe time. No.
I really feel like it's just a poetic way of agreeing with Captain Kirk, because it is an alternate universe or a different time continuum.
Right, that makes sense.
And
Yeah.
I think
go with that.
they're saying pocket because I don't think time is passing, or if it does very slowly, as she says.
Yeah,
Yes,
it's very
it does
slowly.
pass, but
Well,
slowly.
it must be passing, otherwise you wouldn't get an episode. It'd be just all commercial breaks.
And then I'll be standing still, I guess, right?
Correct. And of course, it follows that Kor's first question. It's how they stopped him from using his weapons. And Devna says that they have individuals with psionic powers, which is a combination of telepathy and telekinesis. So in this case, that's how they're stopping the weapons.
Right. A little bit of magic, a little bit of science.
Mm-hmm. And Devna warns that if anyone from either ship decides to engage in any kind of violence, that ship will be frozen for a century. And that it's not a death sentence because of that slow passage of time. And they don't say precisely how slow, but they say that a century means nothing to them. So many of the young-looking council are really hundreds of years old. They wanted to leave before, but finding that impossible, they made the best of things. And back on the ship, Scotty warns that the trip cost them a large amount of dilithium, so that they only have 4 days
And notice
until
there's
it's depleted.
no other crew members aboard the bridge.
Mm-hmm. That's a good point.
Right. So he cleared the bridge for some reason, I guess, to have this meeting with them too.
Yeah, instead of going to the conference room.
Yep.
But I really actually love the parallel here between Kirk asking Spock to work on a formula around the clock to find an escape, and Kor doing pretty much the same thing here to Kaz, except he's tossing Kaz's report papers all over the place. Like, hey, this is
Right.
bullshit. Fix it.
Right. He doesn't quite have the patience that Kirk does.
And this is Megan here. Also, wait, Megan is also voiced by Nichelle Nichols, right? Yes.
Nichelle Nichols. I believe she has 5 or 6 voices in this, which is the most, along with the Lorelei signal.
Mhm.
I thought.
Right.
So Scotty couldn't or James Doohan couldn't voice the women in this episode.
He is an extremely talented voice actor, but even he cannot voice the
Yeah.
woman. He's too
And-
manly.
Right. Too manly. And we had no Majel Barrett in this episode.
Oh, come
Oh,
on!
yeah.
Oh, come on! You guys don't like have a woman with a deep voice there?
We can certainly try.
She's got nice eyes. Someone's been on the old nicotine there.
She's got jaundice.
That's what it is.
No, they're just like
Nicotine
cat-like
fiend.
eyes.
Watch it with the tobacco products, kids.
Lemon Pie says, yes, I like to get them first on many streams. I'm first. Lemon Pie says, if I were to give a review of Orion's Belt, it would be just be 3 stars. Oh, Skogly says, LOL. Lemon Pie says, Skogly laugh.
And Megan here, she has tremendous telepathic capabilities, like magical telepathic abilities, and she can tell that the ships are trying to figure out how to escape. Devna knows that they have to try before they can accept their fate. And so far, Spock can't figure out how to escape either. But there's I don't know, is this a glitch here where the ship is flying out of the little monitor screen?
Well, it's right. It's flying from one screen into the other, yes, and backwards.
And so Klothos tries to escape through the vortex. They use up all their power to try to get through, but they end up appearing and disappearing back where they started, in the graveyard.
Back where they started?
Yeah.
Sounded like a captain, a twist in the fabric of space where time becomes a loop.
Possibly. But for some reason, they don't explain any of that. You explained it better than they do. But somehow, Spock understands it. And from the Klingons' failure, they're able to figure out... Spock is able to figure out a formula to escape. But the way he figured it out requires the help of the Klothos.
There's a good old mathematical equation for you, Jill.
Yeah, I don't know what that means. Spock is smarter than I am. So Devna wonders to Zarius, or is Zarius, if they should stop the two ships from trying to escape, since she's worried they're going to die. But he says it's not against our law for them to try, so they're going to let them try.
Right, not going to interfere. It's strange, though, that I guess they had never, all the time these people had been there, they had never tried to put two ships together either, I guess.
That's right, and they have more than two ships. They have lots
more,
of resources.
Yeah. Yes, they do. Lemon Pie says, I'll be here all week. Try the replicated lasagna. Thank you, Lemon Pie.
Cool. So Kirk has his scientists and engineers try to figure out how to combine the ships functionally. And then Spock shows some uncharacteristic companionship towards the Klingons. He touches their shoulders and says, I cannot tell you how impressed I am by your splendid spirit of cooperation. Forgive me, Commander. I was overcome by the moment. Goodbye.
Even they were surprised.
Yeah, and it's kind of a nice little red herring here to make us think that there's something wrong with Spock.
Yes, and they do explain it well. They explain it well, yes.
Right. It's kind of to throw the Klingons off too. But Kaz says that it's just as uncharacteristic for Cord to work with Kirk. And Cord admits, you do know me, Kaz, very well. What would you think if the Enterprise suddenly disintegrated after our dual ship had passed the time continuum? So that's their plan. They're going to destroy the Enterprise after they get help getting out. So thanks for helping us escape. But we're gonna die.
What happened to Klingon honor? That doesn't seem very honorable.
They're not honorable yet. They're still just villains.
Well, I thought Klingon
their morals changed along with their foreheads.
Isn't Klingon honor just from one Klingon to another, but not Klingons to other species, or no?
That must be how it began. The honor must have been internal at first, and in the original series, and then it develops into into
Because-
the
Actually,
honor, external honor.
Jill, it speaks to your point about the Ferengi, the idea that all Klingons are going to be one way or another, honourable or dishonourable, is of course, well, it's Klingonist, isn't it? You know,
It is.
we're
You're
all
right.
individual Klingons.
That's true. but I think what makes it make sense that they're all honorable, not all of them, just the ones in the military. It's a military attribute that everybody puts on like a uniform. Oh, the honor comes with the warriorship class.
Very cool.
Is how I describe it.
Although the best way to win a fight is to fight dirty. I mean, where's the honour in the cloaking device? Show yourself, you damn forehead ridge Klingon.
Well, I thought the safest way to fight was to shoot the person in the back. It's the safest way.
Exactly. So safety and honour are basically mutually exclusive. So pick one, will you?
Well, that was
honourable,
Garrick from
safety fighting
DS9.
Klingons.
That was Garrick, the Cardassian, that said he'll shoot a man in the back because it's the safest way.
Or TNG, where they'll fire as they're running away, right?
Mhm.
What episode was that?
9 out of 10. And the movies? Yeah.
I don't know. Okay, they don't run away all that much. They do stick around to deal with whatever's
Right.
going
Well, to
on.
be honest, I'm just joking, but it was a couple
Uh-huh.
episodes, and I don't remember which movie, but in one of the movies, it was in the trailer.
The movies are completely different from the TV show, so I don't.
No?
Oh,
Okay.
the movies were just nowhere near as good as the TV show, and then the TV show was a roller coaster itself in quality. So
Oh, come
There
on,
you
come
go.
on, come on! You don't think Star Trek 4 is one of the best movies there?
it is, but
Oh,
he's
yeah.
talking
Ignore the
about
discrepancies of the time travel.
Right. I'm talking about the TNG movies. And
Yeah.
cheers, Ola Greg.
Spits in the face of Edith's death. Oh, how could they? Jim.
okay. So
So it's the music is just. I'm 10% more emotional than even usual.
I love
Like
this
right
song.
now. See crescendo right back after this break. Do you need a coffee?
I
Is your
had
dog
coffee.
hungry?
No, it's not coffee I need.
They were the enemy, though. They use them to get out. It's on brand, says Scogli. Ola Greg says, honor varied from one Klingon to another, and each defined it differently. Lemon Pie says, cheers, Oila.
Mhm. So there's another captain's log here, stardate 5267.6. We are in the final stages of preparations to make our escape from Alicia. And so Gabler from engineering catches Core and Cass snooping around the dilithium vault, which was clearly marked as restricted. So they knew better to be there. But continuing his strange behavior from before, Spock puts his
Spock appears out of nowhere. And I think those Klingons look different.
All right, lads.
yeah.
Hey, bro.
Basically, that's exactly how he's behaving. Continuing his strange behavior, he puts his hands on their shoulders and helps them find where they're supposed to be. He offers, "Hey guys, let's redirect you where you go." But McCoy is highly concerned by all of this behavior. So Kirk will talk to him.
I think the two Klingons look a little different.
Mhm. Yeah, in this shot they do.
Yeah, one line. Yeah, one has a line across his cheek, the other doesn't.
Okay. And Scogli says, "Gay blur."
I might be saying his name wrong. I might have put it wrong here. Let me see. Yeah, no, that's his name. Gabler. Maybe it's Gabler.
I'll take
His
your
name
word
is
for it.
Gabler. Yeah, Gabler. Gabler catches Core. Sorry.
Close enough.
And so Spock insists there's nothing wrong with him. Rather, it's that when he touched the Klingons, he could sense that they planned some kind of sabotage on the Enterprise, but nothing more specific than that.
Wait. I thought Spock didn't have like telekinetic powers
You know,
like that.
I
Only when
did-
he does a mind meld.
You know what? I was thinking the same exact thing Gorilla, I don't think that he should have this kind of superpower. I don't know how much I buy that his telepathy or mind meld capability transfers over this much of power.
So the question
But
is, can you do a Vulcan mind meld without touching their face?
I don't know. But the idea was that the only way the Klingons would accept his touch on his shoulders was that if he behaved friendly like this. So that's his reasoning for
Right,
for
to catch
doing
them
that.
see. Off guard. Right, to catch them off guard is why they didn't react.
So I'll read what the book says about the mind meld.
Okay.
In this, see.
You
It
guys
says-
ever had a Vulcan threesome? Unfortunately, no. But let me know.
I'm afraid I can neither confirm or deny.
Hey, what I do in my free time is my own business.
All I can say is they take a very logical approach. Now, Captain, you go over here.
Well, and the odds of getting 3 Vulcans, well, they're all going through Pond Part at the same time.
Yeah, timing that. They all have to get together in a forum and say, "Oh, this is my schedule."
Wouldn't it be based on when you were born? I guess, right?
Mm-hmm.
That'd be
True.
born on the same day, maybe.
But they all might have different cycles too. I don't know.
Oh yeah, you never know.
So the book says, clearly established on the original series, the Vulcan mind meld allowed a Vulcan to merge their thoughts with another human, an alien, including the Horda and the Devil in the Dark. However, TAS established the mind touch, which was similar but did not require the same concentration. Oh, okay. So that's what they do here. They call it a mind touch, not a mind meld.
Yes.
So semantics.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I
So
think
is
what
it
it
the
is.
same thing then if it's semantics? Interesting.
I think it came down to the right. I think the writer, when she wrote this episode, she wrote that, but they didn't correct her, so they just went along with it. I'm guessing, kind of like a light sword in Star
A
Wars.
light sword, yeah.
Energy sword.
Female Klingon. There we go, ladies and gentlemen. See, there's inclusion.
Yeah. She's gorgeous.
I like the hair.
Wait. So when did the Klingons go with the Afro look? That's
Well,
like
maybe they had different kinds of hair depending on the person, just like us.
Right.
Well, I've always seen them have like the same kind of hairstyle.
Oh. Well, this is before they went to a different stylist, like they did in TNG, right?
Right.
Mhm.
So Cass says that 3 minutes after they escape and their ships are detached, the Enterprise will disintegrate with this little pill that they have, this little explosive pill.
Wait, how can something that small create such a big explosion?
I was going to address that. That's what I think was very smart in the writing, because obviously, in order to get a device large enough to destroy the Enterprise aboard the Enterprise without being detected is not possible. But what they do is they take a small explosive device and place it in a highly sensitive area, which would cause a chain reaction.
Yeah, but later in that episode, they show a massive explosion when they beam it out, when Scotty ejects it out into space.
Well, it still is an explosive device. But I think
we
that's
don't
the
know
reason
the
why.
name.
Right. We don't know the background behind it, but I'm guessing that's why he put it where he put it aboard the ship.
That's
like
right.
if he would have placed it anywhere else aboard the ship, it may have caused a lot of damage, but it may not have destroyed the ship. So you'd have to put it somewhere sensitive where it may cause a chain reaction. But that's just an opinion.
Yeah, my guess is that it might be some kind of antimatter thing, but we don't know. We don't know really what it is. There's no explanation of the actual device.
And Oleg Greg says, McCoy didn't hook your brain back correctly, Scogli. That happened to Spock, too. Scogli says, I'm sure it's just head trauma.
So Defna does an off-screen Orion dance for a little get-together the crew and the people of Lisa are having.
Right, and the thing on the left is having a blast there.
Yeah, look at the Gorn. He's drinking something.
And the Klingon's really happy. The one standing up with a piece of pie in his hand.
Well, the one who's smiling is probably the one who lives on Elysia.
Yes.
And Devna, after this, has a desire to go home. And Kirk offers her a ride, but she refuses, repeating her acceptance of her fate.
Oh, and it's too bad they didn't mention the fact that what would happen to her if taking her back to a regular timeline, would her age catch up? What would happen as far as her age is concerned?
Normally, it stays with the traveler, I would think.
I think she would just start to
age it normally.
normal. Yeah,
Gotcha.
I guess, but I could be wrong. And also off screen, McCoy at some point asked Callie to dance, but this gets him in trouble with Kaz. But of course, they normally wouldn't care, but they're trying to cause a distraction.
Bones and his hormones again.
Yeah, and so Kaz tries to use a weapon against Bones, like before, it doesn't work.
Right, the Klingon disruptor, isn't it?
Yes, the disruptor. In this distraction, Callie takes the opportunity to go to the computer room and drop off the explosive device. That little yellow lines around it, so you know it's dangerous.
And reel-to-reel tapes people, so we know that's a computer.
Mm-hmm. And Zarius says that since the Klingons tried to be violent, their ship will be frozen for a century. But Kirk argues that will trap the Enterprise too, since they can only escape together. If you hibernate Klothos, you will not be only punishing them, but us. And so the book has something on this too. Home is where the heart is. It says...
Go ahead.
Elysia is in many respects a perfect society, but with all its virtues, it is not home, and home, with all its faults, is where we prefer to be, says Kirk. Explaining the importance of the Enterprise's return to normal space and time to the Elysian Council. Trapped in a pocket dimension outside normal space and time, Kirk has only one mission, to get his ship and crew home. While the Elysians make a strong case for accepting their fate and remaining trapped, Kirk does not care. He needs to return his crew to home. He's so focused on this new objective that he partners with the duplicitous Klingons and the very captain responsible for their current predicament. Kirk knew it was a gamble to work with the Klingons, but he owed it to his crew to do everything in his power to make that happen, even if it meant partnering with the Federation's greatest enemy.
And Orla Gray says, I'm drinking with Gorn and green women. I wouldn't argue that. That sounds like fun. And Scogli says, disruptor, datruptor. Scogli says, what do you want from me?
So now the Enterprise is ready to lead the ships out of the pocket of space-time by accelerating to warp 10.
And Jill, I wanted to point out...
warp 6. Sorry, warp 6.
No problem. Those devices they have in their hands?
Yeah.
That looks more like what the TOS chronometer looked like right there.
Oh, the one before the upgrade.
The special effects, right? That's what because when we were watching TOS, I was kind of trying to explain to you what they look like. And that's more what it looked like right there in the original series before the upgraded effects.
Cool.
People.
Yeah, so it's just a countdown machine.
Mechanically, and you could hear the click as the digit turns, right?
And so as the ships start to accelerate, Megan, the telepath, has discovered a very specific detail of the Klingons' plot. She knows there's an explosive in the computer room in the Warp Corp control panel. Zarius calls to tell Kirk about this, and as they approach Warp 8, Spock goes to grab the explosive and eject it out of a random waste disposal chute.
Yeah, but I've never seen where was those waste disposal chutes before, and we've never seen them before.
That's like
in TOS. In TOS, remember they put a phaser in there that was on overload.
Oh, did they?
Yep.
Oh, thank you. I couldn't remember. And so with that, they're able to escape without being destroyed. The explosive still goes off, but the Enterprise is okay. And Core takes credit for the escape. Go ahead.
I just want to say hello, Pleasant Valley Picker CA. Just got home a little while ago. Good to see
Pleasant
you.
Valley Picker CA, hello there. Lovely to have you in the chat on yesterday's show.
Wonderful person, yes. I'm
Yes,
glad you can
hi.
make it.
Hi, PvP. So, but of course, Kirk doesn't care that Core wants to take the credit. He's ready to explore again. So, let him say what he wants.
Is that so? That's Kirk being the bigger person, really. Then just not caring, not minding.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Well,
Right,
the true historical records that the Enterprise is going to submit are going to tell the truth.
Right. So Kirk's version of the truth, which is the truth because it's our Kirk, will still be there for the record.
Yeah,
Correct.
and I think this is another example of they were running out of time.
Well, just like that background music just there, timed in really nicely.
I know it's not. Yes, it's kind of noticeable that it's on a loop, isn't it?
I
And
keep trying to get to a valid point every time the music in the background reaches a crescendo pop.
PvP says got home a bit earlier as wanted to get home because we got heavy snow and the roads are an icy mess. Oh goodness, I've been in states like that. It scares the living daylights out of me.
Well, I'm glad you made it home safely after all that.
Amen.
Absolutely, yes.
Well, Pop, you can't drive it. You can't drive through 18 inches of snow.
Oh, I've done it before, but I don't want to. I'd rather not live in a place where the cars are all sliding into each other. I don't want to pay the insurance costs.
Oh,
Yeah,
we call
best
that a Tuesday.
Okay. Must be wonderful to pay those insurance costs.
No.
And Orla Greg says, I remember the disposal chute and the overloaded phaser. Yeah, it was in one of the TOS episodes. And Dalek 451, welcome. So good to see you. That green skinned woman is really beautiful. Also, evening art. Yes, she is. She ages with class, I would say. And welcome. We have a new visitor to the panel.
Hi guys.
Hello, PvP.
I popped in, even though it's probably just about over.
No, it's fine. It's good to
I
see
missed
you.
most of it, sadly, but
no, you're here. That's the good thing.
Right, as long as you came here, that's wonderful, and I'm glad you made it home okay.
Yeah, boy, it was pretty scary. I was doing maybe 30 or 40 all the way home because I have about a 15-minute drive from work, and a lot of it's downhill, uphill kind of thing. So you got to really watch your speed because it was really a lot of snow over the last day or so, and it's really iced up out there now. So
yeah, Pop Culture. That's all you have to do is like drive 30, 40. If you start fish tangling a little bit, do not hit the brakes. Just take your foot off the gas.
Yeah, don't hit the brakes.
So the more snow,
tap them real gently and give yourself a lot of time to stop.
So okay, so the more snow and ice you get, the faster you drive.
Oh, I don't.
Yeah, that's there's guy their pop culture.
Right.
Well, one bad thing is I got all season tires too, because generally this area doesn't. Most winters we hardly get any snow, but the last 2 winters we just got these huge, dumps of snow coming at us, and I don't know what's going on with the weather, the last few years. But
well, we could use.
I blame Greta Thunberg.
How dare you?
Yeah, that's about it.
You?
Order Greg says, I have a similar disposal chute in my house just in case. There you go. You never know when you need to overload a phaser. And Pleasant Valley Pecker says, thank you, Captain.
Yay.
Wow, what a turnout. I mean, we had
on the captain's chat last night.
Yeah, fantastic panel tonight and great turnout in the chat. I really appreciate it, guys.
So has anybody given their ratings for this episode yet?
We haven't.
Not yet.
I wanted to ask you, have you seen this episode recently?
I actually got home a little while ago, and I actually did a quick watch of
it
before I joined because I didn't want to, I mean, I haven't seen it in like 30 years, so I thought I better give it a quick watch. And it was a mixed bag, I thought.
Okay.
It had good points, and it had not so good points for me.
Okay, so for me, I actually give it an A-. Just because I realized that this show, the animated series, only has 20 minutes to tell all of the story. So of course it would have been a better story if they would have had a full 45, 50-minute episode. But I give it an A- because it's just some fun. It's not too complicated. It's science fiction fantasy. the time pocket isn't overly explained, nor is the explosive device. So you don't have to analyze it beyond it taking you to another dimension and the crew having to escape from it. And the Bermuda Triangle correlation is neat. And I also appreciate episodes where the Enterprise has to work with their enemy to survive. And how all of these species could come together and be peaceful. So that's a great big Star Trek message in general.
So they're just in our federation.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are all good points, Joe. I didn't see it quite the same way, but I'll let everybody else give the reviews first. I'll go last since I arrived last. So.
Well, let me say hello, Apple 2GS. So great. I'm glad you could stop in.
Apple
2GS says, hi, all, and Jill just popping in. And is this the episode with the lost USS Bonaventura? That's really all I remember of it. Yes, you're correct. It is.
Yes.
Yeah, that's the one.
Sorry, my dogs decided to chime in as well. One of my roommates got a dog this week, so you might hear a little more interactions here in the background. I apologize, everybody. Okay. And Captain Affinity, what would you rate this episode?
Well, I quite liked it, so we'll start with an A+ as a default, but then the time bubble, which one is it? Pick a team, pick a lane, so that makes it A-, and then the lack of Chekhov makes it an F. And apart from that, A+.
Darn Chekhov, it's
really
all his
missing
fault.
That Chekhov.
Really missing
okay,
that
in that case, so it's a B+. That's what it rounds out to.
Yeah.
And Gorilla, what would you say?
Well, I'm changing my answer from what was in the poll. Like, yeah, it was a really good episode, but with all the nitpicking I've had to point out throughout the episode, they just had to bring it down to like a B+.
Oh, I feel guilty now.
I'm giving it a couple token Fs there, but it's just another rehashed. It wasn't its fault, but it's just another recycled plot, even though it wasn't this episode's fault because they came first. But I've seen the other ones before this, so it's the same plot.
Yeah, that's a good review.
Right, and as the captain said, by default, I start with an A+ as well on these episodes. And yes, it was a little unstable with the time elements, sometimes a little more fantasy than science fiction. But I would say overall, I would give it an A- because I think Nichelle Nichols did a fantastic job. And anytime that they can use time travel in Star Trek, I would love it. So for me, that's one of our main go-tos. As long as it's done at least moderately well. And Gorilla, do we get your blessing now? Oh, I'm sorry, PvP.
Well, I hate to be the dissenter here, but I really wanted to give it an A. But the whole Bermuda Triangle thing just kind of bugged me so much. And then there was the trope of the perfect council, society, which we've seen so many times in Trek.
And it's always a number of 12.
And there was the treacherous Klingons yet again. Right. As much as I love seeing the Klingons, it was nice to see some D7s in the animated series. I really wanted to give it an A, but I ended up giving it a D+.
Okay.
And we do have de-escalated quickly.
By the time I thought it over again, and I probably should have given it around a B- or something, really. So.
Well, that's okay. You can stick with your
jumped the gun a bit on my conclusion, I guess.
Oh, you can always update. You can always update your rating.
The triangle. It's just like, oh man, it's been so overdone in pop culture over the years.
Yeah. So your nitpicks are about the same as what mine were. You took it. You decided to give it the Lord Craig because of that.
Yeah, it had a lot of good elements, but somehow the whole thing overall for me just didn't quite work. And I actually found it a little bit slow moving for an episode that's only 20 minutes long. I found it a bit tedious in spots, and especially when the council was like, preaching to Kirk and the Klingons.
Slow moving,
a little drag. I don't know. But hey, I often disagree. I mean, I've been on Saturday Night Trek, and I've given some reviews that probably made people roll their eyes.
I gotta be right back, so you can continue.
Go for it, Joe. No, that's fine if you have a different opinion, DP. We all have different opinions, and I welcome them all. Everyone has the right to their opinions.
Maybe in a different day, I probably could have given it like a B or something, a B minus. But I guess it was just, I don't know. I hadn't seen it in so long. I just found there were too many sort of, things that pop up a lot of times in Trek. So I kind of, took away from it.
Well, I know another thing too that brings up what you said is, I remember being a kid in the 70s when the stories started coming out of the Bermuda Triangle. There was a lot of TV shows and movies based around it. I mean, a lot of movies. Right. There was a good movie called The Bermuda Triangle with Kim Novak. I don't know if you remember.
Yeah, they even that one.
Yeah, I have it on my server, I believe. They even have a suspicion that at one point they thought that Amelia Earhart may have disappeared in the Bermuda Triangle. So
I remember hearing that story.
Did she disappear in the Pacific though?
I'd have to look. I don't remember exactly.
Somewhere.
That's the thing is I don't mind when tropes are reused if they're done in an intelligent and fun way.
Right, because the writers can't help it if it's been done other times by other people.
Mm-hmm.
Right, at least they're trying, right? So that's good.
Well, they could help it.
And And one thing that I wanted to add to my rating is, I think this is another episode where it kind of hurts it. The fact that they have to compress so much into less than a half hour, I think it kind of shows that they're rushing things along just for the script, just for the plot. Unfortunately, there's a few parts I wish they could, a few parts I wish they could kind of extrapolate on a little bit better.
If it had been an actual, original series episode with like 50 minutes, it could have been actually really, really good, I think.
Yeah, this would have been incredible to see all of those different races in actual live action.
Well, that was fun.
And the people still living aboard those ships, because they said they're probably still alive. So that, like the crew of the Bonaventure, that can still be alive aboard that ship.
Actually, that's another point, though. Since Kirk and the Klingons were smart enough to figure out if they put two ships together, they could actually achieve the velocity to escape. How come none of those other dozens of ships trapped for centuries?
Right.
How come none of those smart people?
Because they're too busy looking at that green-skinned beauty.
Right. Why go anywhere? You have an Orion slave girl right here.
They don't want to leave.
It was nice to see an Orion girl again, I must say.
And that is a good point we did mention. So thank you.
Yeah, here's a question though: Did Spock leave the formula? Because we know there's a few of them that wanted to, or at least one that wanted to go home there, and a few others that probably felt the same way. Did Spock leave them the formula to get the hell out of there if they wanted to?
Yeah, he could have, right? He could have said, "Here,
he could have, but he was like, "Nah, fuck them."
Yeah, you'd think Spock would want to help them, give them a chance anyway if they wanted to leave. Yeah.
That's an extremely good point.
Yeah, it's something else that, right? I think, if it was maybe an hour-long episode, they may have covered that. And as you can see in our poll in the chat, we had 9 votes. And
that is a good point. But Spock, the needs of the many, we've only got 20 minutes. We cannot save the others. Right. It's not a full episode. It will be illogical.
Right, needs of the many outweigh the old. Never mind. Let's just get the hell out of here.
Exactly, because we ain't got time for station breaks. It's not a full episode.
So also on that point, did they leave like a buoy there? Hey, don't come to this area. This is gonna eat you up.
That's
true. No, ain't got time for that either. No.
Well, you figure when they both return to their relatively, the Klingons return to their homeworld and. The Enterprise returned back to theirs. They warned their civilizations of the area, but they could have left a buoy or a warning sign for everyone else out there.
Imagine though the Federation would warn all the member planets. About.
Yeah, but they leave buoys out there every other damn time.
Well, not only that though, something that would not have hurt if they could have squeezed it in if they had just another minute. At the end, once they escaped and they realized, okay, this worked. Apparently, we just needed the power of two ships together. They could have said, okay, let's set a future mission in there to help those other ones escape, now that we know how to get out.
Oh, very good.
Or at least, they didn't even need to do that. They could have just had Spock go, hey, I left a message on how to get the hell out of there. There with whatever the hell her name was.
Yeah, just send one in.
Go,
So I
here's
guess
the
the
format.
Orion slave girl was the president of the council. Is that correct?
She was
Yeah,
like the
'cause it's both-
lawmaker. I think.
Well, that's
I think-
because there was most of the guys on it, and she used her pheromones to get elected the president.
Yeah, but I think it was good to show a woman in charge. You don't see that very often. I mean,
Yeah,
in the
she was
60s
in
or the
charge.
70s.
But I think she was more like the legislator, and the Vulcan was more like the judge.
Yes.
Ah, yeah.
Right. Because it was a council, so there's no one person in charge, apparently.
Well, she seemed kind of quite friendly too, so she's kind of like public relations or something. I guess.
Well, she is an Orion slave girl. She's going to be friendly, right?
You know, all she has to do is dance.
So we had 44% of the chat says A+ to A-, and we had 33% say B+ to B-, and we have a split here on C+ to C- with 11 and D+ to F- with 11. There we go. That's pretty much overall opinion there. Thank you for voting in the chat, everybody. I appreciate that. I'm glad I remembered to post it this week.
Yeah, me too. Did you
I
end the
remember
poll?
to do that for mine.
Ooh, that's a good question. Is there a button for end poll? Yep, there it is. I just ended the poll. Thank you, Jill. Thank you for reminding me about that.
Because I always forget to end it, also, and then you can copy it and put it in your description.
Oh, wonderful idea. Thank you. I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
And let me see if I can catch up to where I left off here.
Oh, what's next?
And Ola Greg says, Jill is correct. The episode reflects the best ideals of Trek, which is not present in the current Trek. Oh, I definitely agree with that. Ola Greg also says, I did like the season finale of Strange New Worlds, the only Trek since Enterprise. Ooh. I don't know if I can agree with that. I have not seen it, and I won't see it, but no offense. Alpha2GS says that Orla Greg, after viewing 3 seasons of STD and 2 seasons of Picard, I can't bear to watch another minute of any new Trek. Going back to rewatch the original series and TNG to cleanse my mind, and I agree with you. And my question is, how did you manage watching all 3 seasons of STD and 2 seasons of Picard?
Yeah, I got through 3 episodes of STD, and that was enough for me.
Yeah, I watched 2 seasons too. Just
I watched all 4 of them.
Ooh, I got through the part of the
me
first
feel better.
season. Yeah, the first episode. I got through 5 minutes of the first episode of STD, and the first episode of Picard where the girl jumped up the staircase, and that's when I was out. Orla Greg says you needed 2 ships coming through together and cooperating while they still have crystals with power. And
Well,
Oh yeah,
the idea plus Scotty.
I knew I had to stop watching Discovery when I realized that I was rooting for the villains wholeheartedly to destroy.
Right.
I wanted the AI that wanted to be an AI to destroy
Right.
the Discovery ship. And so.
Right. It just wouldn't destroy it fast enough, right?
yeah, that's definitely not real Trek when you're rooting for the villains to win.
No. Well, that's like a bad horror movie. That's why they make the victims, silly teenagers that are all abrasive and irritating. So you're hoping they get killed off as soon as possible. Alpha2GS says Alpha2GS was TNG's Bobby Trap inspired this episode. Coming in late, maybe you guys brought it up already.
I think that's Booby Trap. They meant.
No, we didn't. We didn't bring that
was
up.
very similar though, that with all the ships kind of trapped.
Oh no, that's interesting. I hadn't thought of that either. Neither.
Yeah, well, maybe the writer borrowed the idea from that episode.
Possible. That was a good episode of The Next Generation too, where Geordi had to figure out how to get out of. But it's kind of like a time trap too.
Yeah, it was quite suspenseful if I remember correctly. Yeah.
And with that episode there, it's a perfect example of Lois erasing browser history.
Well, yeah, right. Because well, that's a whole different story that this doesn't touch, is using the holodeck to try to solve a problem. But then the holodeck creates a beautiful lady who
when you touch the ship, Geordie, really, you're touching me.
yeah, that.
Oh wait, this is a different episode. What she finds is why you should delete your browser history.
Always. Yeah, just tell that to Kathy Griffin. Apple 2GS says no time travel in that, but somewhat of a similar premise. And Scogli says it's Star Trek. I can't help myself. Well, that's totally fine, Scogli. Apple 2GS says with a lot of pain, I watched the second season of Picard because I wanted to follow along with Red Letter Media's comedic review, but none regret it. Yeah, I watched Red Letter Media's reviews as well as Bird of Prey 5's. That's about as much as I need to find out about the new Trek. Apple 2GS says, now I regret it, and yes, booby trap, my bad. No problem. We understand how autocorrect works there, sir.
Yeah, I watch. I just watch them so I can form my own opinions of them. There,
that's fine.
Because I tend to think differently than other people, so that way I is my own opinion of not liking it is why.
Okay.
There.
Order Greg says y'all are correct about Picard and Discovery, but there is some good episodes on Strange New World, which is shocking, but that's my opinion. That's totally fine. No, very cool. And yeah, we had a great turnout. And crescendo, just time, yes. Mm-hmm. I'll have to find something that doesn't have a crescendo all the time, I guess. I'll try to keep it a little more...
Well, I like a nice crescendo. I mean, you can only have so many crescendos in one night.
Right. That's another thing missing from the new Star Trek series. They didn't have that in the music. It seemed to me like the music was just droning on and on and on.
There's another show to have. Musical cues in Star Trek, actually. That is something.
Right.
Yeah.
And that reminds me. My favorite episode of TOS when it comes to musical cues, and that's when they go to it, where they have the cliffhanger and it goes to the commercial. By far, my favorite episode was A Piece of the Action. Because every time they go to a commercial, you get one of their stock musical cues as the music descends, and leaves you with that cliffhanger feeling, and it makes you want to tune in. It's like, okay, I can't wait to see what happens after the commercials. It makes you actually want to watch it. And that's what, in my opinion, is sort of lacking from New Trek. They just don't have that anymore. In my opinion, that is.
I agree. Even when they try to use some of the themes from the original Star Trek, it's always soulless.
Yeah, and you gotta have the script match the music, yeah. And Skogly Jotun says, play the menu music from Star Trek online. I don't know if they'll let me do that without getting stricken. Right
you'll get struck real hard for that one.
Yeah, the music you guys hear is public domain, and so I've been lucky with it so far. And there's actually a very vast library of music of common what's it called, common domain or whatever the term is.
Public domain. Yeah.
Well, no, there's public domain. There's public domain, and then there's.
You're talking about Creative Commons.
Creative Commons, that's it. Yes, Creative Commons.
Oh, yeah, that's it.
Right, where all you put the music, and they give you full permission to do whatever you want, as long as you just put the credit of the name down in the description, which is what I've done.
Yeah, as long as you give the creator credit. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yep. And Skogly says you won't. I know a few other people that use it. It's super unobtrusive. You know, I thought about what I was going to use for background was just the bridge sound effects, but I figured that might get me stricken too. I'm sure those are copyrighted.
If you use them sparingly.
That's what I'm saying, but I couldn't play it like continuously through the stream like we're doing this music here.
Oh no. They'll think you're playing an episode probably.
Yeah, and even though I have it lowered the volume and we're talking over it, I still don't trust them. And Skogly says yes, it's really nice.
Yeah, the YouTube algorithm is pretty strange, so you never know. You don't want to take any chances with it these days, it seems.
Yeah, and next week the episode is going to be the ambergris element.
Oh, I'm excited for that one too. Yes. Just the music again. See, Jill, you got it right on the crescendo. The ambergris element. Yes. While the Enterprise investigates a water world, Captain Kirk and Commander Spock go missing. They've been abducted by the world's inhabitants and altered into water breathers as well. So here's where we get another example. We'll have another example of our environmental belt, I guess, which gives them the breathable atmosphere surrounding their bodies, I guess, without having to use a diving suit.
Oh, great. The life support belt.
Right, the life support belt. Space Seed and Wrath of Khan says Ola Greg is a single viewing experience as is Balance of Terror and the season finale of Strange New Worlds. They did. Oh, you're comparing all those in one sentence. Oh, okay. Gogly Jotun says whale poop, and Skogly says, or is it vomit?
Actually,
I'm not
it is
knocking your
whale
opinion,
vomit, I
Ola
believe.
Greg. I'm not knocking your opinion, Ola Greg. You're fine.
Yeah, I happen to agree with Apple 2GS, but I'm very grateful that you're here to talk with us, Ola Greg, to share your opinions too.
Right. And I give you credit, Ola Greg, because you've got a lot of guts, more than I can do. I don't think I have the stamina to keep up with that new show. Maybe if they'd get rid of a certain Goldsman, I would consider it.
Right.
Is there anything that any of you would like to add before we take the show to the end and talk about our channels?
Nothing much comes to mind. Oh, another trope that they threw in was Scotty and the dilithium crystals. It seems like it's always the darn dilithium crystals, right? When the ship's in jeopardy.
Right.
Well,
Well,
very
that's the best
important.
weapon.
You know the
Well,
Playmobil Enterprise won't work unless you insert the Playmobil dilithium crystal.
Oh, is your Playmobil Enterprise built?
It's half done, union rules, but he's done the stickers, and that's the hardest part.
Nice.
It takes that long to put it together. I thought it was like a few big pieces. Am I wrong?
Have you seen teenagers these days? It's lucky I could pry him away from his face. I'm doing YouTube videos, Dad. They're getting more views than yours.
The Enterprise, that Playmobil Enterprise it's 4 foot long. So
I've got it right. Do you want to see it?
Kind of
Do you want to see the half built? It's a bit sad because it's half. Do you want to see it?
Well, sure. I'll show your screen.
See, my commitment, when Professor Briggs says, "Well, I've got a question about time travel," you don't F around. Hang on a tick.
All right, and Jill, I'll share your screen after we see Captains.
Okay.
Look, it's the pocket crew. Look, everyone should have their own pocket Scotty. Look, everyone, he's missing from the show today, but here he is, the person you tuned in for. It's Pocket Scotty. Ahoy!
Oh, look at that!
Are we live? Ahoy!
Yes, we are live. Yes.
So there's Pocket Crew. Look, there's Jill.
Oh, there's
Right,
Jill.
subscribe now. As I push to 400 subs.
Nice teeth.
Yes, I want to get a little bit past 300. I'm at 302 right now, or 303.
Right.
Help Antiderivative Uhura. So there you go.
How many accounts will I have to make to get you to your goal?
Right. How many bot accounts?
Obviously not to scale after a certain point. It's ridiculous. And poor Scotty. I don't even know where apparently there's engineering somewhere. Poor Scotty. So there you go.
Is the
So
turbo
it's not
directly
quite,
behind?
as you can see, not quite done, but we're getting there. So
It's a work in progress.
it is,
Yes,
as we all
the
are. But yep, this is how. If you're out there, Clobby and Professor Briggs, sitting on the edge of forever, the whole thing's going to be totally redone with new special effects, no CGI, all real work. Thank you.
Yeah. So it looks like they have the bridge directly behind the captain's chair.
This scale, I mean, I know it's like a TARDIS. The bridge is basically the spaceship. And where's the freaking toilet? You know what I mean? Replicator, holodeck. I mean, where's the transporter room? Where's the toilet? Nacelles, magnetic nacelles. Still, at least it's not the filth. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Absolutely.
That already has got better production values and more heart and soul than anything done by Klutzman Trek. You know what I'm talking about.
And Orla Greg says, I totally understand why y'all doubt. We don't doubt you, sir. We don't doubt you. Like I said, I know that the new Star Trek does have fans out there, and I welcome all Star Trek fans.
Yeah,
So,
me
you know-
too. I actually
Amen.
see all of Strange New Worlds, and I don't have the same opinion, but I respect yours, Oli Greg. I think
Right,
the last
Like, and Scotty, to be fair to Scotty, he likes the newer stuff. See, it's a fun debate that we often have.
That's the whole point of getting all these ideas together. It makes it much more fun and
Well, I
enjoyable.
like Strange New
Amen.
Worlds, and I think it's getting Trek back, going in the direction of the Berman Trek.
and I think it's an abomination. But
And I agree with Jill. I agree with Jill.
Like, what's some of the things you don't like about it?
Well, specifically that very last episode where they absolutely destroyed the balance of terror. They had these ships. They had these freighter ships that were supposed to trick the Romulans into thinking that they were actually Federation ships, but they forget that the Romulans have sensors, and they should have been able to sense those ships. There's just a untold number of things that I could say about
I mean, that last episode there, I thought a bit more of a what if episode, like what if Kirk wasn't in charge, you know, and that's what happened, and then Kirk came in at the end there. Now, I did not like the new Kirk, but I like the concept of it being like a what if episode.
Yeah,
Like,
I would
what
say
if
my
it-
opinion. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say my opinion why I don't like New Trek is the basic element of they're socialists, they hate men, and all they want to do is push the woke message. And Alex
Well,
Kurtzman
actually,
has said such.
okay. So I'm not defending Strange New Worlds, but it doesn't have those elements. It's just really bad. So
Oh, okay.
it's gotten better in that it's just bad. And I
Yeah,
don't like it.
And see, that's
this
where
is-
my point of it's heading back in the right direction.
Does it have Alex Kurtzman as the executive producer?
I think he's getting
well,
rotted
every
buried.
show.
I think he's getting rotted buried by getting put in the where his name's still on it, but he doesn't have the
Well, that's
say
just
or sway.
that's just a rumor. That's a rumor. But if he hadn't made that speech, my opinion may be different. But that speech, I think, is what pretty much did it for me.
Yeah.
Because he did actually come out and say that the only reason why they're doing Star Trek is to push their agenda, and that's not right. That's not Star Trek. That's anti-Trek. At least in my
It's
Yeah,
Andy Roddenberry too, really.
Yeah, well, yeah, right. The sellout son decided to just take the money and run. Skogly
Yeah, it's
Jotun
sad.
says ambergris, or gray amber is a solid, waxy, flammable substance of a dull gray or blackish color produced in the digestive system of sperm whales. Well, that's an interesting fact there. Thank you. Ola Greg says, cool Star Trek
Ew.
set. Oh, yes, I agree. Expensive Star Trek set. And if you like that Star Trek set, buy more. That's how with that money, they're producing new Trek. Apple 2GS says, I continue watching STD because I thought, like TNG and DS9, it needed time to find its footing. Oh, wow, how wrong I was. Picard, I thought, was going to be a reset, but it was just more of the same. Well, isn't there another season of Picard coming out soon?
Yeah, it's his last season because I don't think we're gonna have Patrick Stewart around very much longer.
They could
They
have
probably-
done Kirk by now. Just they could have had
Yes.
Kirk. They
Kirk
could
could
have
have-
done it. Ugh.
Yep, much better. He's much better shape physically and mentally. Apple 2GS says, cool models. Captain Infinity says, thank you. And Apple 2GS says, Jill, you're being too kind on it. I'd have harsh words, lol. And Captain Infinity says, pink Plumobile, I guess. And Greg says, that's a Kirk type solution. He used what he had and made it work when nobody else could. I agree there. Apple 2GS says, let's just say it's the polar opposite of everything that the original 735 episodes were about. And I do mean everything.
Agreed.
Skogly,
Apple.
yeah. Skogly says, isn't that word in the name of the next episode? Ooh. It also shows that, Ole Greg says, it also shows that Kirk cowboy tactics were superior to diplomacy at times and prevented a war. Yes. Euler Greg, I've kind of mentioned that a few times in my comparison with TOS and TNG. I love
Yeah.
Kirk cowboy tactics, and sometimes that's what they needed.
Kirk was always smart enough to improvise when he needed to and think outside the box, which is what made him such a great captain, really.
Right. He was confident. He was not full of doubt. And he didn't need everyone holding his hand, telling him what to do. in my
He was
opinion.
good looking.
Good
He
looking.
had charm. Most of his hair was real.
Yeah, he was smart enough, to know, when he needed to listen to the rest of the crew and get an opinion. But he definitely had the confidence to be the leader for sure.
Okay, so I wanted to thank everybody in the chat. I think I've been trying to call out everyone who's been here. Berta Prey, Skogly, Lemon Pie was here for a while. Order Greg was here for a while. And I'm not sure if Apple TGS, Captain Infinity, of course, everybody that's on the panel.
Hello.
Fantastic panel. Thank you guys. And
Nice
before
panel.
we show the preview of next week's episode, And to take us out here, Captain, would you like to tell us about your channel, Captain Infinity?
I would love to do just that. My channel features not just conversations about time travel, but also traveling in time. Also Blade Runner, but no more of the Deckard debate. Come on, it's over. Whatever you like, it's fine. Also just tropes in writing, but certainly Star Wars, Star Trek, science fiction, fantasy, all that good stuff. But all with a bit of an intense level of debate and hopefully a few laughs along the way. So join me on the journey that we call Star Trek pop culture and stuff on Captain Infinity or something. I know, I'm making it up as I go along. How's that? Back to you.
Fantastic, everybody. I do recommend subscribe to Captain Infinity's channel. He has got lots of streams out there. He's been streaming for a long time, and a lot of excellent, interesting, and funny commentary. Gorilla's Random Thoughts. What say you about your channel? And are you feeling better since when you first started the stream, Gorilla?
Oh, I'm still pissed with the kid, but
okay. Well, that's part of life, right?
Yeah, well, he lost TV because he lied to me, so.
Well, kids, you'll forgive him. Tomorrow's another day.
Yeah, but anyhow, I'll start with the two streams that are staying the same. That's Babylon 5. We're starting season 3 on Saturday at 6 o'clock Central Standard Time. We'll watch 2 episodes and live react to them. Come join. Anybody's welcome. Sunday, we're continuing our H.G. Wells journey with the Time Machine from 1960 there, where we'll have a watch party and live react with that. Anybody there? Then these 2 days are going to get swapped around next week, but this week we start season 2 of Stranger Things for a watch party. Then on Thursday we are doing the very first episode of season 1 for a review of the Waltons, of the episode The Founding. And
Very
if I get
cool.
bored, I'll do a come chat as I die in Minecraft.
And if you do as usual, I will be there.
Yeah, I'm approaching my 1,200 deaths. I think Thomas
1,200
is
deaths.
yeah, I think, and the guy in second place there is Thomas there. I think he's at 103.
Oh, so you guys are competing to see who dies the most?
Oh no! This is a comparison how many times I died to the person who's the next highest on the server.
Gotcha. And PvP, is there anything about your channel? Do you have a channel you'd like to share?
Well, not a great deal to say. It's just basically music playlists that I update, usually once a week or so. And I haven't ever gotten around to doing any live streaming or doing, any real content like you guys do. So I just can never think of anything that I find interesting enough to really want to do. So I just, as a big music lover, I just do kind of update my music playlists. That's pretty much it for now.
Well, just let it come naturally. You'll have something come along that will inspire you that you'll want to cover on your channel.
I hope so one of these days, yeah.
Hey, you could do reaction videos to songs to music videos if you like music that much.
Or reviews of songs.
I've thought of that, but there's so many of those reaction channels doing that already, and also there's always that copyright thing with YouTube that people get strikes on their accounts, and I've seen channels actually disappear.
Because with video you can show stills, but you can't show a still from a song, right?
Well, I know Tom McDonald will never copyright strike you. I know that for a fact.
Who?
Okay.
Tom McDonald.
Who's that?
He's a Canadian rapper there. But the problem with there is, especially if you don't want half of his songs are political, half of them aren't. But they're good songs. I enjoy listening to them.
Okay. So, did you have anything else to add, PvP?
No, not really. I just, as I say, I probably, update some of my playlists, every once in a while, and hopefully one of these days I'll come up with an idea I find interesting enough to actually put the time in. But I haven't really. I mean, it's like all of these channels. There's so many good channels on here, right? I mean, I'm probably subbed to like 150 channels, most of which I never get around to watching, almost, because there's so damn many of them. But Yeah, I mean, it's like everybody else on the panel. Here does such a good job of making new content pretty much every week that
Yeah,
I don't really feel the need to.
I totally agree. There are so many channels that are on here and that I'm sub to that I have no need to even watch TV. I don't watch. There is no network or streaming channel that I even watch anymore. I spend pretty much most of my time on YouTube now.
I pretty much
Me
hardly
too.
put the TV
Amen
on
to
in the
that,
last
brother.
year.
Yeah, and besides, everything's woke now, so I'll continue viewing the classics. Jill, what about your channel?
Oh, what about my channel?
I
have.
Go ahead. Jill has the best channel out there. 300 subs, ladies and gentlemen. Go in. If you haven't subbed, please do it now.
Thank you. I have a fun science fiction channel. On Mondays, I'm here, Pop Culture Curators, to review the animated series. And on Tuesdays, tomorrow, 11 or noon Central, I review the original series. And we're still on season 1. We're reviewing the episode Miri. And on Thursdays, I go to the Phantasmagorium channel to review the original Quantum Leap. That's got Bakula.
Yay, Phantasmagorium.
Right, I did want to give a shout out because Scotty R37 was not able to make it with us tonight, everybody. But please check out his channel. You will find a link in the description down below.
Yeah,
there's still Scotty.
Yeah, Scotty. They're still working on finishing the Tarantino reviews that they have on Wednesdays, and after they're done with Tarantino, they're moving on to Batman.
66? You mean the 60s version?
No, the movies.
All of them.
Got my hopes up high for a moment.
I think they're going back to the original first screen appearance from like the 1930s or something.
Yeah, PvP when
cool.
When Gorilla and I were deciding on what series to cover, the toss-up was Batman 66 or Gilligan's Island. But so we chose Gilligan's Island for now. I may end up covering Batman 66 in the future.
Well, let's do that next then.
Very possible, huh?
There is quite a bit of Batman already on YouTube, so Gilligan was probably a good choice, actually.
Right, well, possibly, but if you'll notice from our reviews, regardless of how much is on there, I think we always bring new things to the table.
Yeah, and well, with me there, I chose. I didn't choose Waltons because there's nobody covers the Waltons. I've been saying for a long time we've always needed more people like the Waltons, so I wanted to bring attention to that show and to the people that show represented.
Yeah, I know, right? Well, right, and there's still a lot of people out there in this country that are like that. They just don't have a political voice. We don't see them on TV every day.
Yeah. Yeah, I really liked that show back in the 70s. The Waltons was a huge show.
It was very big, yeah.
It was very well written, too, most of the time.
Right.
Oh, you're always welcome to join us.
Yeah, everybody went home to watch the Waltons. I remember that, and it had good ratings. And the reunion movies,
top
too.
10, yeah.
Yeah, and they brought the original cast back for the reunion movies. I'm getting tongue-tied again. Orla Gregg says, so the season finale handled Kirk well and was pretty good, which is a major improvement. I agree there. Apple 2GS says, you mean Captain Jim Carrey. That Jim Carrey stunt on In Living Color is hilarious. If anybody hasn't seen it, I highly recommend it. Captain Finity says, I'm not sure what Captain Finity says.
It's like a shocked cat. I've never had the Jim Carrey comparison before.
Apple 2GS says, I love the original 1960 Time Machine. Cheesy effects, but the story was so much better than the 2000 version.
They were talking about the film.
Yes, Apple 2GS. I was
movie.
Oh, is that what it is? Is that Captain Jim Carrey?
Captain Jim Carrey.
Captain Jim Carrey,
right. I thought it was because of my delivery. Okay.
He played like a geriatric.
I retract the cat.
He played a geriatric Kirk with a walker. And Apple 2GS, I completely agree with you about the Time Machine.
I don't know where that's coming from.
Right, it's hilarious. Apple 2GS, I agree with you. The 1960 Time Machine is miles above the 2002 horrible version. That's what I was telling Gorilla just
We're cross-circuiting here. I didn't know that. Jim Carrey did a bit where he was Captain Kirk with the walker.
Well, then I will show a segment next week.
I'll have to check it out now.
I have it on my server, so I'll show a clip next week.
That's amazing. Okay.
Right, and it's funny. It's very funny. And Antiderivative Jill says, sub to Captain Finity. Absolutely. Thank you for putting these links out there, Jill.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Jill.
Thank you, Jill.
Yeah,
and Orla Gregg has a link there. So, and Ola Greg, Ola Greg, I made you a wrench, so you're able to put links as well. So thank you for that. I want to hopefully cover everybody here in the chat. Ola Greg says Captain Channel, yes, and Scogli says I'm sure Pleasant Valley Pictures is going to absolutely love Tom McDonald. And Antiderivative Jill says, and don't forget to like and subscribe to this channel. Thank you, Jill. Yes, if you like what you see, or if you're on the rerun, please like, subscribe, and share this channel out. And good job, Jill. Yes, Jill always does a fantastic job. Jill has a good channel. Yes, she does. I'm very envious of her. She knows how to get those subs. She's got a really good base out there on YouTube. She does a wrench on a lot of channels, and I think that helps. And
It does.
CGS,
Also,
it does. Everybody knows
Jill-
Jill.
Did Jill mention her Friday show that she does sometimes? Quite
didn't. I didn't mention it. This Friday, I'll be talking about Westworld with Scotty and whoever wants to join
Okay,
us.
I like Westworld.
The movie or the series?
The movie.
Yeah.
Okay, good. I'll be there for that. That I'll be there. Where I'll be working.
I'll try and pop
listening,
on
but,
too, then, Jill.
Yeah,
For
I
sure.
love the movie. Yeah, James Brolin and Richard Benjamin and Yul Brynner.
Yul Brenner's awesome in that movie.
Absolutely. In fact, he's wearing the same clothes he did in the Magnificent Seven, right?
I think he is. Yes.
Yes, he is. Almost the same character. Apple 2GS is so cool. The original Quantum Leap is one of my favorite old shows. Now I'm really old. I'll try and catch that, Jill.
Yeah,
Hey.
thank you, Apple 2GS.
Hey, Pop Culture, you know that spelling mistake you pointed out on my Stranger Things review or watch party there?
You mean your
Yeah,
Stranger?
but I'll-
You mean your Stranger Songs?
Yeah, that's what my least watched. That's my least watched, or that's the one with the least amount of views on it for Stranger Things.
Oh, I
That's the
thought
one with the spelling mistake.
I thought they'd come for the songs. Dalek451 says, I'm the same, Pop. I spend so much time watching YouTube videos and live streams. I hardly watch anything else, which is a shame because I have a lot of stuff to catch up with. There is stuff I need to get caught up with as well. I'm just a little admission here of guilt. I'm currently right now catching up with the old show Chips. Apple 2GS has never saw that Jim Carrey bit either. Well, then, like I said, next week I'll try not to get flagged for copyright, but I will show a clip from it.
What you could do is show some of it and then pause it, and then we could just like say something and then play it again.
Okay.
That's what I've
and-
started to do, and that helps.
And I don't know if anyone remembers, but in the old Carol Burnett show, she also did a Star Trek parody where she played Spock.
Oh,
And
wow.
Nimoy was on Carol Burnett too, wasn't he? in
Yes,
a cameo?
he made an appearance, right, but he had no lines. Right.
Yeah, I remember that. That was pretty cool.
Okay, so I believe we've covered our channels, and I think I said hello to everybody in the chat that came. Dalek451, thank you for being here. Apple 2GS, Scogli, Euler, Berto Prey, Lemon Pie, Captain Infinity, Gorillas
Thank you.
Renaissance, Jill, PvP. I hope that's everybody. If I forgot you, it's not intentional. I usually try to remember everybody. And before we leave, we usually go out with the preview of next week's episode of the animated series. But before we do that, I just want to remind you, everybody, please join us tomorrow on Antiderivative Jill's channel for our review of TOS episode Mary. I know you've heard that a couple times, but I'd like to remind everybody in case you came in late.
Thank you.
My pleasure. I can't wait. I'm excited. Oh, what do we got here? I did like some parts of Time Machine 2002, like the Vox 114 holographic guy in the literate library and how they showed traveling through time, though. Yeah, it was mediocre. And it was also directed by the great-grandson of Herbert George Wells. And Apple 2GS, oh man, Chips, that brings back really, really early childhood memories. Yeah, it's a fun show to watch again and get caught up with. And sub to Dalek451. Yes, everybody. Dalek has an excellent channel. And guess what he talks about? Doctor Who. Ugly. If you drink them, got it. If you got them, drink them. Right. What's that, Gorilla?
No, never mind. I forgot what I was going to say now.
Okay, so once again, thank you to everybody in the chat. You made this a magnificent show. And especially, most of all, everybody in the panel. I want to thank you all for being here.
You're
Yeah,
welcome.
Well,
No
Thank
problem.
you,
there.
Culture.
And
Nice
thank
to
you
be
for
here.
being in my streams there, Pop Culture.
I love your streams. Oh, I almost forgot. Check out my Gilligan's Island streams on Wednesdays with Gorilla random thoughts in myself.
Gilligan's Island.
Yeah, I think you'll have a blast. If you like Gilligan's Island, or if you've never heard of it, I highly recommend you give it a try. Just like with these Star Trek streams, I usually try to bring a little trivia in, so maybe you'll leave knowing more than you did before.
Well, yes, I always love the behind the scenes and trivia and production stuff. That's fun.
Oh, that's great. We're just getting started on that, so you've still got a lot to learn.
Mm-hmm.
Who'd ever thought that such a show like that would have so much behind the scenes knowledge, right?
Oh, I believe it. There are a lot of fans for it. I would have thought that Quantum Leap would have had more production notes, but I can hardly find any. It's tough to find Quantum Leap production stuff.
Yeah, the newer the shows got, the harder it was to get production. But one thing that really stands out, I know that's for a different day, but one thing that really stands out with me with Gilligan's Island above every other show on the air, and I mean every other show, is the cast actually did consider themselves family, and they stuck close as friends through their whole lives. And I thought that is very, very powerful and wonderful. You don't usually hear about that with characters on TV shows.
Yeah, wow.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, they kept in touch. They kept each other's phone numbers. They went to reunions together. I mean, and so on until each of them were dying off. Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, they actually consider themselves family. Tina Louise was the only one that was hesitant, but towards the end, when the bigger trucks with the bigger loads of cash pulled up, she finally got on the boat once again for that 3-hour cruise. You guys saw the cameo that they did on Roseanne, right?
I probably did. I've seen every episode of Roseanne, so I'm sure I saw it.
Wow.
She had a dreamer. Right, she had a dream where her and her family were stranded on Gilligan's Island. Her and her family were stranded on Gilligan's Island, and the Gilligan's Island cast was in her house. And the reason why I bring that up is what made that interesting is they shot Roseanne on the very set where they shot Gilligan's Island.
Wow.
On the very same sound stage.
Wow.
Okay, but enough of that. All right. Thank you, everybody. Once again, I know I've said this, but thank you. And we will see you tomorrow on Antiderivative Jill's channel, Wednesday with my Gilligan's Island stream, and next Monday where we continue Star Trek The Animated Series. And now we will have a preview of next week's episode.
And also thank you. Yeah, and also thank you to everybody on the replay.
Yes, on the replay, if you're out there, we love you.
But yeah, thank you to the chat. We're nothing without the chat.
Yeah, on the replay too. Also, please like, subscribe, and leave commentary on what you think of the stream. If there's any improvements you think I could add, or any kind of recommendations or criticisms, I invite everything. I appreciate it.
Nice.
Anyway, thanks, chat panel. Night, everybody.
Night.
Good night. Take care, everybody, and peace.
Live long and prosper.
Oh, they also did an Alp episode with Gilligan's Island. I'll have to catch that. Thank you so much, Apple 2GS. And Roseanne, too, of course. Oh, Alpha I've not seen, but okay. Thank you. And last but not least, awesome job, Jill. Have a good night. Yes, Jill. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Apple 2GS. And good night.
Bye-bye, everybody. Thank you.
Stardate 5504.2. Lieutenant Commander Scott in command. Captain Kirk and First Officer Spock have been missing for almost 5 days. We're under attack. Beam us aboard, Scotty. Come in, Captain, come in. Suffocating. Help. Breathe.
The substance in your bloodstream is similar to the ambergris of Earth waves. Reverse mutation is induced by infusion of an antitoxin. It's made from the venom of the Argo sur snake. Sensors just gave us an update reading, Scotty. There's a sequake due in that area. A bad one. Complete topography changes.